Morning, friends. Welcome back. Happy Friday. Just wait for some people to come on here. So good to see you all. Welcome back. And I have to say that I was going to do a different experiment today on chromatography. But I'm going to save that for next week because guess what? It was raining again. So I thought I would do an experiment about the water cycle today. So I have two different experiments I'm going to show you. One is very quick, the other one's going to take some time for results to appear. So you can always do that one whenever you have time, or you can put it up and just let it go for a while, and then you can come back and take a look at it. So as I said here, it's raining this morning, or it was raining. So we've got some precipitation falling from the clouds. So when we have the water cycle going on, which is going on all the time, we have water down here at the surface of the earth, and that gets evaporated up. When it goes up, the air cools and condenses into clouds, and then from the clouds we get the precipitation. So that's kind of the process of what happens. There's not a beginning to the water cycle, there's not an end to the water cycle. You could jump in at any point. You could say, oh, it's precipitating, and now we've got groundwater running off into the creeks and streams and lakes and rivers and oceans and things like that. So I do get to spend a lot of time talking about the water cycle. I actually get to teach an entire quarter of weather, which for those of you that don't know me, weather is one of my favorite things to teach about. So those that do know me, you know that quite well. So what I have here first, I have a cup of water, and I have some shaving cream. And this is just like the cheap, I think it was $1 at Walmart. Just some shaving cream. So we're going to mimic the water cycle. You're going to see some rain. I'm just trying to make sure I put it in the right spot. There we go. So I'm just going to put a thin layer of shaving cream on top of the water. The first time I did this, I put too much shaving cream and nothing was happening. So remember that shaving cream kind of expands after you get it out of the container there. So the next thing I'm going to do, so now I have water, which is going to show us what the atmosphere is like, and then we have the shaving cream, which is showing us what clouds are like. So there's kind of like the clouds, and they're up in the top level of the troposphere. Now, there's multiple levels to the atmosphere. This is just the very bottom level. So think about like airplanes would fly up here, because you know airplanes can fly above the clouds. So airplanes can go up into the very bottom level of the stratosphere, but this is kind of the top of the troposphere there. So we have our atmosphere, we have our clouds. So this food coloring is going to mimic raindrops. So eventually it'll get heavy and start to go down to the bottom of the cloud, and then we'll see what happens. It should show up as rain at the bottom there. So that's the first one. Oh, if you look over on this side, you can probably see we've got some rain falling from the clouds there. So this is one way you can show the water cycle. You can see we've got a little bit there. And it's just like in the real water cycle. A lot of times we have rain that starts to fall from the clouds, but maybe the air is not completely saturated yet. So when that rain falls from the clouds, it just kind of hangs out in the atmosphere and it saturates the atmosphere, and it doesn't always reach the ground. So kind of like that. Eventually it will. You'll see the food coloring go all the way to the bottom. This is a neat way to mimic the water cycle. So as I said, for those of you that are just jumping on, this is water down here that's representing the troposphere, the lowest layer of the atmosphere. The shaving cream is representing the clouds, and then the food coloring in there is representing the rain. So I put food coloring in the top, and it's kind of dripping through the shaving cream and down into the water. And I will show you a different view, just so you can take a look there. There you go. So you can see, very neat way to kind of watch or kind of talk to kids about how the water cycle actually works and how we get precipitation. So like I said, the water food coloring is coming through the shaving cream because it's heavier, and as it gets into the atmosphere there, then it falls down. So kind of cool. The other one, I have a water cycle in a bag, and this one takes a little bit of time. You would actually, and I'll show you, you'll tape this to the window, and it'll take a little bit of time before it actually makes the whole water cycle. Let me see if I can get it where it's not a glare. So down here, actually, if I held this up, I trying to keep it on the whiteboard so you can see it a little easier. There we go. So you can see I have the water in the bottom of the bag there, and then I have evaporation with an arrow over on the left, condensation at the top, and then precipitation over on the side, just so you can see what happens with the water cycle. So I'm going to take you on a field trip here. There we go. We're going to go over to the window. So you want to find a window that has a good amount of sun. So if that was me, I'd be over here in my living room, because in the afternoon there's a lot of sun that comes in this window here. And you want to find a good strong tape. And then I just put it right here on the window, and as the sun hits that, it's going to heat up the water that's in the bottom of the bag here. And you notice there's not a lot, and I did not make this airtight. So there's actually a good amount of air in there. So as the water heats up, it's going to evaporate. You're going to see a lot of condensation in the bag. And then as those water droplets get really large, they start to fall back down just like precipitation. So this is another way you can show the water cycle and have kids take a look at it that way. So there's the water cycle. Let's go back and check on the water and the shaving cream and the food coloring. We'll see what's happening with that if we've got some more raindrops falling. So there you go. We've got some water cycle happening in our cup here. You can see some of it's reaching the ground. So yeah, there's the atmosphere. Here's the clouds at the top of the troposphere, and then the raindrops are falling down. So just a couple different ways that you can learn about the water cycle. Especially, I know a lot of you that are on here in my area, we have rain this morning. So great day to talk about the water cycle. So thank you very much for watching. I have one more week of experiments coming up. Technically, our last day of school is supposed to be next Friday. At that point, we'll have 43 experiments on here, on Facebook and on the YouTube channel that I have. So you're welcome to go back and use them at any time, but it's been a lot of fun. So I have one more week of experiments coming up. I will see you next week. Have a great weekend.